Hey, it's an exciting time right now to get things rolling. It's great to see that the guys have arrived and shown up in good spirits during this tough time. Praying that everyone's family is doing safe and doing well and staying safe during this time. Excited to get back to work. Uh, Excited for what's in store for us, and we look forward to just continuing to lay a foundation brick by brick and get this thing rolling.
Hey Teddy, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. Does this? I mean, obviously you're going to be the starting quarterback. Does this feel like your team yet, or maybe not yet because you haven't gotten on the field? Or I mean, does it feel like your team yet?
Yeah, it definitely does, and I credit that to Mr. Tepper, Marty, Coach Rule, and the coaching staff here. They've made this transition a smooth one, and they told me from the jump that, hey, this is your team, and the guys will go as I go. And just being around the guys a couple days already, you see them, feeding off my energy, and I'm feeding off their energy. So, it definitely feels like my team.
Hey, Teddy, Skylar Kellen here with Sports Illustrated. NFC South's going to be an offensive explosion this year. Everyone's got their weapons, and now the Panthers have really got a lot of pieces as well. Where do you think your guys' offense kind of ranks with some of the other teams in the division?
I mean, on pen and paper, it's easy to say, hey, we have this guy, that guy, and Atlanta has their weapons, New Orleans has their weapons, and Tampa has what they have. But at the end of the day, you have to prove it on the field. So on pen and paper, everyone's crowning themselves as some of the most talented teams in the league and future playoff teams. But it starts, with the work that we put in right now, and we can't look too far ahead. We just have to approach it one day at a time. And of course, we have guys on this roster who have done some great things in this league, and I'm excited to be on the same field as those guys. But at the end of the day, we have to execute what we plan on doing here in Carolina, which is running Joe Brady's offense and doing it at a high level.
Teddy, with The Athletic here in Charlotte, you mentioned Joe Brady's offense. What percentage of that would you say relates to the offense you ran in New Orleans? And is that familiarity, a plus for you, especially given this crazy offseason?
Yeah, definitely. It's a high percentage of some of the things we did in New Orleans, but of course with Joe spending time at LSU and being on the journey that he's come on, he's added his wrinkle and different things to this offense. So I'm excited about that, and just being familiar with this system, it's been huge. Especially for us, with us not being able to meet in person for OTAs throughout the spring. I've had the opportunity to get with the guys and reiterate the language, go over installs with the guys prior to arriving to training camp. So having that comfort level, that experience in this offense has been a huge head start for us, I'd say.
Teddy, hey, Josh Klein from the Riot Report. Sorry, Ashley. Josh Klein from the Riot Report. You said one of the things that we saw in your Instagram video was you said in a Joe Brady offense, there's always an answer. Could you expound a little bit on that and what that means and how you've been kind of passing that along to your teammates?
Yeah, just Joe isn't just calling plays to get one guy the ball. I mean, yeah, you design plays for specific guys, but when you're in this offense, as you go through your progression, there's always going to be someone coming into your vision wherever you start at. There's always going to be an outlet for you. And I try to reiterate that to the guys so that everyone is, performing their play at high speed. Sometimes you see guys on the progression when you're installing, they see, hey, they're just, part of the play and they may want to take a play off. But, for those guys to understand that everyone's a viable option in this offense, it keeps everyone on their toes and it keeps everyone locked in.
Hi, Teddy. Ashley Mahoney with the Charlotte Post. Appreciate your time today. You spoke to the experience in the league, but now that you're part of the Panthers organization, you're developing your identity as a leader here, and you have a lot of young guys and an interesting time to be a rookie with the pandemic and the uncertainty that brings. What are you imparting to them about not only their rookie season, but how to grow and develop in this league?
The biggest thing I learned from my years of experience in this league, every year you get a new class of rookies. Every year the rosters are turning over. Nothing stays the same in this league. And that's my mindset to the rookies. You know, hey, when you come in, just keep your head down and work. You earn your respect in this league by what you're able to put out on the field, display throughout the building with your work ethic, the way you approach each day. So if I'm a young guy coming into the league right now, yeah, it hasn't been ideal with the pandemic and everything, but you know, this is an opportunity virtually to show, hey, I'm dedicated. You know, I'm really locked in and really willing to give my all to this organization, whether it's in meetings virtually when coach asks you a question, responding with confidence and with conviction. You know, that shows, hey, you know, you're studying and things like that. You know, it's huge.
Teddy, Jason Hubert, WF. One of the things that coaches have mentioned about you this offseason is just how dedicated you are in studying football. With an offseason like this where you weren't able to be on the field all the time, what is some of the benefits of being able to study the game, learn some of the the plays just by watching tape more?
It just gives you more reps, virtually, mentally. Everything is a rep. And the more you're watching it on tape, I may have ran a play last year and threw it to a certain guy, and I may not have liked the way that the play went. So the more I'm getting that experience, watching the plays, revisiting the moments, it's preparing me for when that moment presents itself this upcoming season.
Teddy, David Newton, ESPN.com. A lot's been made recently about Cam Newton being disrespected, pushed to the side, having to prove himself again. I'm wondering, you kind of went through a similar experience at Minnesota after you came back from your injury. How do you relate to that, and is this a prove-it year for you?
I mean, that's the tough side of this business. I had the opportunity to experience it early in my career, and injuries are always unfortunate, and the way things transpired when I got injured and how I wasn't able to return to the driver's seat, I just took it as, hey, man, I got to put my head down and just continue to work. Eventually, there are 31 other teams that will have the opportunity to fall in love with me all over again. And luckily, when I was returned from my injury, I had the opportunity to sign with the Jets, and then New Orleans traded for me. And now I'm here in Carolina, and I'm forever thankful of my journey. So, with Cam, it was one of those situations, I understand as a player, you're a competitor. You want to get back out there and get that opportunity to show, that you're still this elite guy. And, he's done some great things. He's obviously one of the best players to ever play for this franchise. And everyone around here respects him. They speak highly of him. And I'm just honored to be, following in, the position that he left behind, get the opportunity to just continue to resume my career.
Hey, Teddy.
Teddy, Scott Fowler. Oh, go ahead.
Elena Getzner, Charlotte Observer. I was wondering, I know you were able to get together with some of your receivers this offseason, but how are you able to kind of communicate with guys over the course of the offseason? You said this is your team. How are you kind of able to establish that with everyone being far apart? And, what were kind of some of the things this offseason that helped you?
Yeah, the good thing about this era is we all have cell phones. So we're all in group chats and we're discussing different things. And we had the virtual meetings throughout the spring, which were great for us. It was a great teaching tool for us. And then we were able to get together in person. We put together, a brief period where, I got with the receivers, the running backs, the tight ends, and the offensive line even showed up. And we just had 3 days worth of work, similar to a mini camp at the end of OTAs. It was very beneficial for us. I had some guys in South Florida who I was able to work with on a consistent basis. So, we've been able to get the work in on the field and, more importantly, mentally, because at the end of the day, if we can understand the why behind everything we do here, all of these guys are in the NFL for a reason. We're all physically gifted and we have different skill sets that separate us from the others. So we were able to take advantage of the mental reps that we got, and we look forward to just applying it to the football field.
Teddy, this is Miles Simmons from Panthers.com. I'm curious about your relationship with offensive coordinator Joe Brady. I think a lot has been made of that. You mentioned it earlier, how you're familiar with the system as well. Just what is that relationship meant as you try to establish yourself in the system here?
The thing with Joe, man, it's a special bond to me because I don't want to dwell on New Orleans too much, but when I first got to New Orleans, Joe was the guy who took the time to teach me the offense. I got traded there right at the end of preseason, and we were getting ready for week 1, and I was the backup quarterback to Drew Brees, and I didn't really have the time to learn the system. And Joe was the guy who went the extra mile for me and made sure that, hey, I was on top of protections, run calls, different things like that. So our bond started there. And if you watch in pregame when I was with New Orleans in 18, Joe was the guy with me in pregame going over the play calls to make sure that if something happened to Drew, that I was ready. So you fast forward to now, and we're back reunited, and it's great to see a familiar face, but also it's great to see someone who actually taught you this system and to be able to actually grow in this system, continue to grow in the system and run it the way that he sees it.
Eddie, Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer. One little question and one larger one, if you don't mind. The little one is just, it sounds like with all your workouts, you're probably 100% injury free, but I want to make sure you don't have any nagging injuries. Secondly, the last time we talked to you, George Floyd had not been killed in police custody, and I want to know your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement and sort of what your stance is, and whether you will kneel for the national anthem this season.
One thing I can say, ever since I got off the PUP list when I was in Minnesota, I haven't had an injury. I haven't missed a practice, a game. So I'm 100% healthy. And as far as what happened in Minnesota, it's unfortunate. And, that's the tough side to life that, every morning you wake up, you just pray that you're able to make it home safe to your family, because it's not promised. It's not guaranteed that, when you exit out of that door that you'll return. And, my heart goes out to, the George Floyd family. And, this upcoming season, I'll have a decision to make as far as kneeling or standing. Of course, I'm leaning towards kneeling. But, it's just a decision that I'll make. I don't want to sit here and, say, hey, I'm going to do this and do that. I was able to contact the family directly and do some things for them. So, I feel like, when that time comes, it'll be a decision that I make.
Eddie, Christian from Fox 46 here. Ian Thomas has some big shoes to fill replacing Greg Olsen here. I just want to know what your relationship been like with him, and how's everything gelling with your new offensive line?
Yeah, Ian, he's a guy, man. He's sneaky athletic. I didn't know he was that much of an athlete, but spending time around him, you watch him, he's flying around. He has a ton of juice, ton of energy. And he's, a young guy who's eager to fill some big shoes and to show that, he can make big plays in this league. So I'm excited for Ian. I'm excited for that entire tight end room. Those guys have been working extremely hard these past couple of weeks, and I'm just excited. I can't wait to see them get out there and play. And with the offensive line, it's a great group of guys. We've been putting some work in, and it's a group who, they communicate well with each other, and I can't wait to see them gel once we get going.
Hey, Teddy, Jonathan Alexander with the Charlotte Observer. I hope you're doing well, man. Question I have for you is, I don't know how much pressure this comes with, but how have you approached following someone who was considered a beloved player with this franchise? How do you approach that?
I approach it the same way I approached my situation last year. One of the biggest problems I had my first year in New Orleans was I wanted to be like Drew. I had to do everything Drew did in order to have success like Drew. But eventually I learned that Drew Brees was Drew Brees. I'm Teddy Bridgewater. I'm coming into the situation. Cam Newton was Cam Newton. I'm still Teddy Bridgewater. So I can't go out there and try to be something that I'm not. I play the game the way I play it. I carry myself the way I carry myself. And, I'm going to live and die by that.
Guys, we got time for maybe one or two more with Teddy before we let him go.
Hey Teddy, I just what it's like to be everybody has talked about your leadership so far this offseason. What's it like to be a leader, not just like on the football field? Because this offseason, it's not just X's and O's and be in the right spot at the right time. It's, maybe don't go to a party or don't go to a club, or like how to, how to be a social justice leader. How do you approach being a leader off the field just as much as on the field?
It starts with my purpose. My purpose in life is to lead people. And I take pride in that because I understand that, eyes are always on me. Eyes are always on you when you're in a position of leadership. So for me, I don't ever want to be the guy who, who's the cause of someone going down the wrong path. So whether it's social injustices, football, in my community, I understand that, hey, I have a voice, I have a platform, but at the same time, that platform means nothing if my actions don't follow. So I try to just lead with conviction, let my actions, speak for itself, and then eventually people will gravitate towards my leadership.
Eddie,
one more for Teddy, Joe. Joe, last one. Okay, thanks so much.
If you address, first of all, did you say the mini camp that you did was where was that held, Teddy?
It was held in Charlotte, so I drove up. All the guys flew in or drove up, and we got together.
And then kind of similar question, could you take us through what it's been like coming to a new city and find an apartment or a house and bike routes in your case, especially during COVID?
Yeah, of course, this is a tough time to be transitioning, but I'm excited to be here in Charlotte. I've been able to just ride through the city and find different locations that I may consider living in. But for the most part, I've just been trying to focus on football right now. The living situation will take care of itself. Right now is just eat, sleep, and breathe football. And eventually I'll probably get me a bike or a scooter and get familiar with the city. But with everything going on with the pandemic and everything, safety comes first. And I don't want to put myself in harm's way and jeopardize what we're trying to do here in Carolina.